Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Get Out, our weekly Seinfeld podcast. This is season 2, episode 5, known as The Jacket. Oh, this is our 10th episode. Nice. Known as The Jacket, and we chose the quote, Master of the House. Right, so we will get into that. Let's see. I'm just scrolling up in my notes here. So basic plot of the episode: Jerry buys a quite expensive suede jacket, right? And then if you've ever owned anything that's suede, I'm sure you can predict what happens next. And then we've got some Kramer nonsense, of course, and we get to meet Elaine's father for the one and only time in the whole series. So before we dive into the plot, do you have any like statistics or Nielsen ratings or anything like that?
No Nielsen ratings. I haven't done them really for like any episodes, so I'm just not going to do it at this point.
Mm-hmm. I have the air date is December 4th, 1990.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mom caught that. I'm glad because I didn't get that one.
So this is like around approximately the halfway point of the season, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I was out last week because I was sick, but thank you guys for holding down the fort.
Yeah.
Glad you're back, Elizabeth.
Yeah, me too. Okay. So this was a hilarious episode, and I think it gets even more funny if you kind of know some things that were going on behind the scenes. So 2 things. First, the main plot of the story, which is the suede jacket, Jerry buying the suede jacket and then meeting Elaine's father, is taken pretty much directly from Larry David's real life. He was dating the daughter. He was dating Monica Yates, the daughter of Richard Yates, who I meant to Google before we started this. He was a somewhat famous American novelist. He wrote Revolutionary Road, which you might know was adapted into a film with, I know Kate Winslet was in it, and I want to guess Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes,
I'm totally wrong.
I love that meme. They're like,
it's a sad story, but it was they did a really good job on that movie.
Got it. So, anyways, that's what he's saying. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, no, I didn't. I got it right. Yeah, it's correct actors. So it's based on his experience meeting him. And then the other thing is the actor who plays Elaine's father. So Elaine's father is named Alton Bennis, and the actor that they have is Lawrence Tierney, who is very famous, sort of old school Hollywood actor. Probably his most famous.
Tough guy.
Yeah.
Black, not really blacklisted, but he would play those roles.
Yeah.
In the 40s and 50s.
Yeah. So his probably most famous, like, over his whole career role was in Reservoir Dogs. He was in that movie.
Yeah.
I had to stop the episode and like go look him up because he was making me he was giving me a very specific kind of vibe. So if you guys remember in Home Alone, the movie that Kevin plays with the guy with the guns.
Change, you filthy animal.
Yes. So I was like, I swear to God, it feels like he was in that movie. But turns out that movie is not a real movie.
Angels with Filthy Souls is what that's called. It's not a real movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see him being in that kind of a film.
Right, exactly.
Yes, that's what he did.
Yeah, so it's that kind of role, right? Like mobster, that kind of thing.
He stole one of Jerry's knives.
Yeah, so this crazy thing happened on set. He took a knife from the block in Jerry's kitchen set and just like put it in his jacket. And everybody around was scared of him
They're like, nope.
because he was real grumpy. But Jerry Seinfeld walked up to him and was like, "What you doing? You gonna put that back?" And Lawrence Tierney pulled, according to I think the producer or maybe Jason Alexander.
That's what he did.
He did the psycho move.
And did the sound imitation and everything to Jerry.
Yeah.
And everybody's just like,
which is crazy.
And Jerry's
Absolutely
just like
insane.
Like Jerry didn't even care. Didn't even flinch.
Yeah. So so everybody was scared of him.
Except Jerry.
He also he got upset when the audience laughed at his lines because he had never had anybody laugh at him before. And so they had to take him aside and explain, this is a comedy. We want them to laugh.
Yeah, this was his only comedy role.
Yeah. He never played.
He's not being extremely funny at all. I mean, he's not. He's just
Right.
being
himself,
probably.
Yeah.
Which is even funnier, but I can see where that would kind of be like.
This is the best show at picking people.
Right.
They aren't supposed to be funny, and they're funny.
Like Uncle Leo.
Uncle Leo.
Yeah. That is so true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Peterman.
Because everybody's hilarious, and they don't even try to be hilarious.
So.
So great.
Yeah. So anyway, quite a bit going on in the background of this episode.
Yes.
We don't ever see Mr. Bennis again, purely because
he scared everybody.
He terrified everyone, right? And so they're like, "Oh, sorry."
The director was threatened by Larry David. He was like, "I'm going to bring back Alton," and he's like, "No." They wouldn't threaten each other about getting back him on the show.
Okay,
that's great.
So there are lots of other good questions that we can talk about having to do with clothes and things too. So the first stand-up, the show opens on the stand-up, and it's Jerry talking about how much he hates clothes.
He hates picking clothes. Yeah. He is looking for outfits.
Trying to figure out what to wear at every 3 points during the day.
Which
he said so much.
I understand.
I do get that.
I think he gets better over time with it. And also just not like he changes so much. It's just he knows, I don't know. There's like he makes it work.
Well, I think if once you've had a chance to build up a wardrobe, you get more comfortable with it. But I feel like with Jerry, maybe I'm like over rationalizing it, but I feel like the variety of things that he's doing might add some uncertainty.
I'm sure he has to, because he's constantly on the road. He's packing and unpacking.
Right. I'm sure that might add to it.
So annoying having to figure out what to wear at every single show.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah, and then
for a guy especially.
Right, and then he keeps on talking about how one day fashion won't exist. And he's like, well, just wear these silver jumpsuits.
Moon boots. There you go.
We'll all wear the same thing. But then he talks about how we need to vote on, we just all need to agree on a uniform and we need to vote on it. And then he describes the scenario where people are just walking up and down wearing the different outfits. And there's no commentary or speeches or anything. People will just clap and think internally, oh, yeah, I could wear that. But what made me chuckle during this scene is that what he's describing is just a literal fashion show. That's all.
Yeah, it literally is. I thought that too. I'm like, that's a fashion show, Jerry.
So I know you feel like
that's exactly what that is.
Come up with, but it already exists.
We'll all vote on the Earth outfit. That cracks me up. We'll all pick our outfit, and that'll be our future outfit. Yeah. He has a point because when they did,
because all the shows have the same basic outfit. All the space clothes are basically the same.
Even when it was different, but their whole race of the different ones were all the same. So it's always the same.
Yeah,
they're always the groups were the same. Yeah, he's got a good point, which he always does.
I was like, oh, that holds up.
Yeah. Okay, so then the show opens and Elaine and Jerry are standing in a clothing store. And Jerry, it's I guess a somewhat fancy store, right? There's a salesperson who's like attending him, and Jerry says very dramatically, "I think I've seen enough." But the salesperson says, "Oh, maybe there's something in the back," right? This phrase "in the back" gets a discussion from Elaine and Jerry.
Yep.
Which is very funny because they don't. If it's good, it's not going to be in the back.
Right.
Yep.
It's all going to be in the front. It's not going to be in the back.
Yep.
All the good stuff's already up here.
Yep.
Yeah. It makes me think of a moment in Legally Blonde, which I can't remember if it's in the movie or the musical. It's probably both, but I've seen the musical more than I've seen the movie, ironically. But Elle is basically trying to buy a dress to wear, and the salesperson tries to trick her and give her last season's clothing. And Elle basically schools her and says, "I know that this is not pure silk because you can't use the kind of stitching that you said it was on pure silk. And I saw it in last season's Vogue," right? That's not a perfect quote, but just the idea that like, oh, they're going to get something from the back. Okay, they're trying to trick you a little bit.
Yeah.
That's already in the front.
Right. Yeah.
Some bait and switch or some kind of.
Yeah.
Well, you also have this, or we're going to show you a secret thing. We only tell 4 people we only tell 4 people under the right moon conditions if the west wind has gone the correct direction.
And you speak the password.
Now, if it was a shoe store, I would get it. The shoes are
they would have it in a different size, maybe.
But the clothes,
yeah.
all the good stuff's already out there.
Shoe store is a good point. You're right. Shoe store is reliable.
Yeah.
Like if they have it.
Yeah.
So.
The bag,
So,
you know, you gotta get the right size.
And they're making jokes about how they want a store that's just called The Back.
I forgot that.
Which is hilarious.
Very
and
good.
I think it
Very
could have
good.
been a contender for our title of the episode, right?
It could have.
There's actually a lot in this episode, though. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I have like 12. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't remember how this line came up, but Jerry said, "Frankly, I prefer the company of nitwits."
Because I've been in this position. And he's so intimidated by her father.
Oh, right.
That you're around your
Yes.
dumb friends all the time, and you're like, you got to meet somebody's parents. You're just like,
right.
I got to like not cuss and like.
You gotta be on. I'd much rather be off, which is a quote from later.
Yes, it is. I'd rather be off too.
A George quote, but
So
it's
he's
true.
intimidated.
You have to be on.
So Elaine's father is coming into town.
Yep.
And Elaine hasn't seen him in quite a while. Jerry is going to come to dinner. We find out later George is coming to dinner as well. And so Jerry is intimidated because he's like, "I'm not smart enough." And Elaine's like, no, you're smart, or, something like that.
And real quick, just a little slipping real fast. We have, it seems Jerry even invited George as another buffer for everybody.
Right.
Like they're all teaming up. They need all 3 to just deal with him. It seems like
right. Which is the one thing I like about this episode, because they all kind of.
But we never hear the reason, like George, because I know there's no way George is like, sure, he had to have fought it for something. We just don't see that. But it's kind of cool that he was like, eventually, Jerry's like, I need you. Like, I need you, man. Like,
one of my points of this show is they actually all work together this time.
Yep.
Yeah. So then Jerry says, "Oh, I prefer the company of nitwits." And Elaine, it's a nice moment, funny moment where Elaine says, "Oh, that's why we're not together anymore."
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, so then the big moment, Jerry spots a brown suede bomber jacket on, hanging on the rack.
Sweet for the 90s. It's a nice jacket.
Yeah, no, I mean, even now looking at it,
it's a nice jacket.
Yeah, that's a very nice jacket.
Yeah.
So he puts it on. It fits perfectly.
Yep. Says the best jacket he's ever worn.
Yeah. He loves it so much.
Yeah, the only problem is pink striped lining.
Oh, Jerry didn't even mind that.
Right. They said, and Elaine's like, well, you can always get it changed, right? The only problem is the jacket is quite expensive, although we never get a number.
I wrote, let's guess the price. We don't have to.
That's
Right?
what I said.
Actually,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's all try to remember initially when you watch the episode or whenever the oldest, as far
I
back
thought we would do that too. Let's guess. Everybody guesses.
as the episode progresses, in this part of the episode, how much do you think it costs? Because they don't give any hints really. You get a little bit of hints later from Kramer, and then the final hints from George. But so it develops. Your also guess develops as it develops. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial guess is I was like, I don't know. I guessed I said 300, I think, but I that's me.
Okay.
But I didn't tell anybody that. And that was just honestly, like, I haven't seen this episode in a long time, and even watching, I was like 300 at least, right? So I actually had a little, in my head, trying to figure out the price game going on the whole time. It was kind of
right.
fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I just Googled sort of because there are different. I won't
That's
tell.
cool. No, it's good. That's good though. She Googled that. Okay.
And there are.
Yeah.
I Googled
I'll
jackets.
in a little bit.
Ooh.
I Googled jackets as well in the 90s, like
Okay.
to see if I was in the right area of my guess.
Right. Okay. So, cut to Jerry's apartment. He's sitting on the couch in basically his pajamas, but he has a jacket on top, which is great. I've totally done that. Right.
I've totally done it.
Yeah.
You
Kramer
love it so much for just wearing
number
it.
19.
Okay.
Yes.
19 times for the K-Man.
All right. Kramer sees Jerry wearing the jacket. He's like, "Oh, this is beautiful." He does have a comment.
That's
on the
more
lining.
you than you've ever been.
He does.
Great line.
He does comment on the lining.
I paid what it costs.
Yeah, he wants to know how much it costs, and Jerry says, "I paid what it costs."
He does not want to say.
Doesn't want to say.
As we find out later, they are very meticulous about money.
Yeah.
They're like sex and money. You got to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're, and I like that you see hints of that now because they still instinctively go back to that. Jerry, it kills you got to know how much they make. It kills it.
Right.
Like it changes the dynamic and it does.
Yeah.
It does.
I think that's fair.
It does.
Yeah. So anyways,
over 3, over 4. And Kramer's loving it. And then he eventually just looks at the tag. And so
yeah.
But he still doesn't say it, which is perfect.
Yes.
Good job, everybody, on that one. Never, ever, ever actually saying it.
And then the other thing that
the time though
happens in this scene, Kramer turns around and sees Jerry's old leather jacket hanging by the door, and he's like, "Oh, what you gonna do with that?" And he basically weasels his way into Jerry gifting him the jacket. And
it's good karma for you.
I have strong opinions about this. First of all, it's a suede jacket. This is not an all-weather, wear in any situation jacket.
No.
Jerry, you are allowed to have more than one jacket. Don't give away your leather jacket. Why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense. Jerry lets Kramer manipulate him so easily.
He does.
And I guess
Come on, buddy.
I guess because he's maybe so enamored with the suede jacket. I don't know. But it truly, I'm like, the whole thing, it wouldn't be a problem.
Also, Jerry almost cracks up several times in this scene and just in general in this whole episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all the time you see him just barely hold it. Like you can just see him trying when they're drinking together with George later. He's just like trying so hard not to laugh. It's so good.
Anyways, I just wanted to go on the record that I would never give somebody. No, buy your own leather.
No, I need this jacket for this time of year. I need this jacket for this time of year because I can't wear this when it's snowing, and I got to wear this one when it's.
I don't even live. I live in Virginia, a relatively moderate state, and I have like a lot of jackets. So, I mean, I will acknowledge that I have more than I need, but You need more than one.
Elizabeth's like, hell no.
Okay. Anyways, we can move on.
We're going back to Jerry's apartment now.
Yeah. So the next day.
So hold on. Oh, I don't want to lose it. Where am I at? So back to Jerry's apartment, and
well, we're still at Jerry's apartment.
Yes, it's the time change. It's the next day.
Yep.
I think.
Right.
It is the time. Yep, it is a time change. So
and George comes in.
And he comes in singing. Yeah. Master of the house, doling out the charm, ready with the handshake and an open palm, tells a saucy tale, makes a little stir. Jerry interrupts.
Yay, good job.
Very good, Corey.
So this is another.
Hey, Corey said the whole thing.
So this is another reference to Jason Alexander's Broadway history, I guess. He's singing a song called Master of the House, which is from the Broadway musical Les Miserables. Opened in the 80s, ran through the 2000s. So after our DVD was made, I think, is when it closed, I think, maybe late 90s, and then there was a revival in the late 2010s for several years. So super famous musical, very famous song too, right? So the song is sung by two people, although George only sings the part of one person. It's the Thénardiers, who are the really shady, gross innkeeper characters. And so George's lines are sung by Master Thénardier, who's singing about how he can rip off everybody who walks into his inn. But it's a very catchy song, right? And then we'll keep track of the different lyrics that he sings. So he's singing this, Jerry interrupts, and George basically is like, yeah, I saw it last week. The song's stuck in my head.
Schumann.
Right? Yeah.
Schumann.
So Jerry points out, like, oh, that's like Schumann. And George has this dumb little line like, what's Schumann? Mm-hmm. But it's a musical conductor and composer, Robert Schumann, who went insane from just hearing one note repeat over and over again in his head. He also
made him crazy.
Yeah, made him go crazy. He tried to commit suicide.
Died in an asylum.
Yeah, which is awful. Yeah. But it makes George even more. Hang on 1 second. It makes George even more paranoid than he already is, right? Because Jerry makes that connection, and George is instantly like, "Oh no!"
And as soon as he can't help it, George again goes, "Master of the house, keeper of the inn," and then Jerry, "This jacket has completely changed my life."
Yeah.
And they start going on the jacket. Yeah. George is taken aback by it.
Mm-hmm.
And
George really likes it. He's like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Yes, he says
this is huge.
So, yep, it's fabulous.
This and then
he starts guessing prices.
Yes. With starch heterosexuality.
It's fabulous.
It's fabulous.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So you are sick. Over 700. He just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah. So he does this
getting mad too. He's getting really upset.
Jerry doesn't even speak. Jerry's just trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Which I thought was really funny because
George
is afraid of turning into Schumann by fixating on this song, but then he turns around and he just fixates on the price of this jacket. And so I'm like, George, I think you're already there, bud. Like, sorry.
If I keep walking and you don't stop me, I know it's over 1,000.
If you don't say something,
in the
5 seconds.
And then he looks at him and Jerry's just like, try not to laugh. You can tell. And he goes, oh, and he just walks out. And Jerry's trying not to laugh. I was like, how do you guys keep a straight face? I don't understand. Yeah. It's too funny.
It's very good. It's good.
Very good scene. Very good scene. Chemistry, everything. Yeah. So good.
Okay, then Kramer walks in again. What is that?
Number 20.
20.
Woo, 20.
Number 20.
And he is coming to ask Jerry for a favor. Do you want to explain what?
Oh my lord! He wants somebody to watch his birds. Like, and they're not even his birds; they're somebody else's birds.
Yeah, so he's
they need to pick him up.
Oh, yes. That's right.
He's going.
He just needs a ride to pick him up.
He needs somebody to sit in the car while it's double parked.
While he gets the birds.
While he gets the birds.
Yeah.
So there are so many things about this. So first of all,
2 minutes, Jerry. 2 minutes.
Yeah, he says 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So first of all, we all know Kramer. 2 minutes is not going to be 2 minutes, right? But then the other thing that I thought, like when I watched it for the first time and I didn't know the way the direction the episode went, I thought, oh no, he's going to go with him. He's going to be wearing the jacket and the birds are going to poop on the suede jacket. Like I thought for sure that was the way it was going to go.
That's pretty good.
Jerry, did not get taken in by Kramer. He said, no, I've got to go. And George, fortunately, also had to go.
But you won't take my 2 minutes.
So they both tell him no. Kramer leaves,
So we know right here what happens right when they leave. It's funny. We don't know about this later.
Yes.
We'll find out actually what happens later with Kramer. But that's kind of cool how they went. They did good.
Right.
They did very good.
So some stuff happens off screen, but we'll hear about it later.
Yeah.
Okay. So then next scene, cut to
the restaurant.
Hotel. They're not at the restaurant.
First, I like the line.
Hotel.
Yeah.
Hotel.
So they cut to
the line before that.
So they arrive at the hotel. Master of the house, quick to catch your eye. Never was a passerby to pass him by.
Mm-hmm. So George is singing again, right? They walk in. They're both a little intimidated. They don't see Elaine, but they see Alton Venice, who is a famous novelist. And so they go. They introduce themselves. He's this real grumpy old man. He's drinking some whiskey or some scotch or something.
Yeah.
They sit down. Their drink orders were hilarious. Do you remember what
I don't remember. Mom, did you get their order? Oh no.
So
club soda from George.
Yes, George orders a club soda with no ice.
Yes, because he gets plenty. Because Alton gets plenty of ice.
And Jerry orders cranberry juice.
Yeah.
So I do have to talk about the no ice thing, right? Because the further into Seinfeld that we get, the more of Corey's character is unpacked for me. Because when we first started dating,
Mom walked out.
I know, Mom's gone.
Yeah.
When we first started dating,
he's suggesting this fan.
You said, oh, I get my drinks with a light ice.
Yeah.
Because you get more of a drink that way.
Yeah.
And I've since been converted to that, right? Light ice and everything.
George says the same thing. He says
Corey likes his drinks less icy. Yeah.
So George orders he orders club soda with light ice or something like that. And Mr. Venice makes some sort of comment like ice. Whoa.
And he orders scotch
with lots of ice.
He goes, I get
lots of ice.
And
then George says,
is trying to be nice.
You like ice, yeah.
and Mr. Venice is like, why would I like ice? You like ice. And then George makes the comment, well, I find that you get a lot more without the ice, which is just so nerdy and funny.
Don't you see you get more? Like that's what he says.
Yeah. So anyways.
It just keeps cut to him. I can't do it with a lip. And it looks like straight out of The Sopranos, man.
Oh yeah.
It's great. Like he is so intimidating
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has like no neck. Kind of red in the face a little bit.
Yeah.
Voice.
Pinkish hue. Yeah.
Yeah, his voice is super deep and sort of gravelly. And his eyebrows are always furrowed.
If I keep saying quotes, it's gonna summon John. He'll just appear and get in the episode.
I know, right?
He just appears out of nowhere. So George and Jerry are just trying to make small talk any way they can.
Yeah.
And they mention about the rain from the weathermen. And Mr. Bennis is like, what weatherman? And, they explain. And he goes, I don't need anybody to tell me it's going to rain.
I just stick my head out the window.
And they're like, well, I mean, yeah, sure, bud. I mean, we can,
okay.
All right, we can do that too.
And there's a great shot of George and Jerry both at the same time. They're sinking deeper into the sofa and sipping their non-alcoholic
and Jerry's
drinks.
trying not to laugh. You can see him trying not to laugh.
Yeah. So
I can't believe he made it. It's this close. I'm like, dude, you almost cracked me.
So George introduces Jerry as the comedian, right? And Mr. Bennis says, "Oh, you remind me of this guy I knew in Korea. They blew his brains out over Japan
Pacific.
or all over the Pacific.
All over the Pacific.
So there's nothing funny about that."
And they're just again sinking deeper, same time.
Yeah. So Jerry, as is, I think, totally understandable, makes a break for it. He goes to the bathroom.
I wrote Jerry bails first.
Yes.
George tries so hard to hold him back.
Yeah. And Jason Alexander's facial expression in that moment is just hilarious. Realizing that Jerry's leaving and then reaching out and grabbing him to hold him. It's wonderful.
It is so good. All right, slow down a little bit. All right.
Okay.
All right. So Mom, what are some of your takeaways? Like, when do you remember this the first time you saw this episode? Because I know in season 4 they started doing repeats for season 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
When season 4 got big, after that first after the contest and after the outing. I remember hearing about that's when the repeats got pretty good and they started showing a lot of the first few seasons. Do you remember the first time you saw this episode? What you thought of, Elaine's dad or? Yeah.
No. But I will just say that I would have been intimidated by the guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Personally.
I've been there. It sucks.
And having to feel like, you got to act a little smarter around someone is always intimidating too. So I felt very uncomfortable for everyone, even Elaine.
Yeah.
Even with her own dad, the whole thing.
I know. So
it was just, I don't know. I can't really remember the first time I saw this episode, but it always makes me uncomfortable. And then I end up singing Master of the House for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how actually weirdly intense sometimes this episode can get, but then there's just so much comedy in it that you don't notice it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
It does get kind of intense sometimes though.
Yeah. And then it's you got Master of the House jokes and all this other stuff's going on, Kramer. And it's funny. It's very funny what people are saying. And they're making fun of the tense stuff, which is also funny. Mm-hmm. But then it gets intense. It's intense again. It's very interesting. It's only in season 2, too. It's very neat.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, they are wondering where Elaine is. George, I know there's some sort of conversation between George and Mr. Bennis, but eventually George also tries to bail. He says he has to make
the bathroom with Jerry.
Yeah, and then he ends up in the bathroom.
Drivel, by the way, was the
conversation. Oh, right. So George tries to compliment Mr. Bennis's last novel.
Fair game. Book was good.
Yeah.
Nice.
What part of it was good?
The drivel parts.
The dribble.
Yeah.
I
need to make a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah, he bails out to make a fake phone call.
They're both sweating in the bathroom.
Yeah, they end up in the bathroom. They're both panicking.
They're sweating
bullets.
It's so good. I love it. They look
10 more minutes and I'm leaving, George says.
I love how they are actually just profusely. It's so good.
Yeah.
He's like, what are we going to say to get out of here? And he's like, we're going to say we're frightened and we have to go home.
Oh, that's a good quote, man.
I think that's my favorite quote.
We'll say we're frightened and we need to go. We have to go home.
Yes.
They're
we're frightened. We have to go.
The waiter was trembling.
Yeah, the waiter was even trembling.
Good scenes, man.
So funny.
It transitions into stand-up number 2, which I will say this is the shortest stand-up so far in the entire series. This is 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Jerry says all fathers are created equal. Check this out. I don't screw the hell with everybody else. I can make my own people now.
Yeah.
And he gets a funny reaction, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I was like, oh, okay. Like it was.
Yeah. Like they had a lot to get through in the episode, and so they just didn't have time.
Yep. And it's so. And this is This is like a precursor to the Chinese restaurant because they are in that same spot for a minute.
That's a very good point.
They are in the same. There are so minimal scenes here. Very small amount. Long scenes in one spot. So
that's true.
Never seen a restaurant like at all. You don't need to though. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like in Reservoir Dogs. You don't see the heist.
Yeah. So
it's not in it.
So
that's right.
Jerry and George come back out. With more ridiculous notes.
He's like, who do you call? George says is my uncle.
Yeah.
He's having bone marrow surgery. We need to go.
Yeah. So then Mr. Bennett says, so there was a note from Elaine that she's going to be delayed by 30 minutes.
Whew. That's
Mr.
long.
Bennett
30 minutes.
Says, let's get our stuff. We'll go to the hotel. I'll leave a note for Elaine.
And George and Jerry are being troopers too. Like they're like, all right, well, let's do it.
They really are.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Mr. Bennett goes to the bathroom, and while he's gone, Elaine walks in. So there's a couple of different things happen here.
You want to take a crack at it? At the top?
Oh, no, thank you. So Elaine walks in and says, where's that?
He's in the bathroom.
Yeah, see, that's much better.
George
does
gets a loud crowd reaction. They like kind of freak out a little bit on that one. They love it. They love it. You can tell. Yeah. That was very loud.
So, sorry, I was trying to read what that is, but I understand now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they're both like, Elaine, where have you been? So then we find out what has been happening.
We've all been there with friends and stuff before. It's
off screen. So
I don't know about picking up birds, but okay.
No, but just anything. Like it did take way too long.
So when Kramer left George and Jerry, he went straight into his apartment and called Elaine and said, Elaine, I need you to sit in the car for 2 minutes while I pick up these birds.
I'll give you a lift. And that's what I mean by we've been there, because we're like, okay.
He says, I'll take
you ride
after we're done.
Sometimes, right? And I don't know. It's not worth
it. Really, seriously, a sequence of insane events, right? So Elaine is sitting in the car. Kramer's been in there for much longer than 2 minutes. Finally, a cop comes up, and apparently Kramer has thousands of dollars in outstanding tickets. And so they're towing the car. And he says you can get out of the car or you can be towed along with the car. Let's Kramer. We don't know what job he has.
Nope.
We know that he
never know
is happy to, like, he's very eager for hand-me-down clothes, right? And he pet sits or bird sits. I mean, I guess I don't know if the birds were pets or not, right? But they all have special diets.
Showbirds or something?
Maybe, yeah, showbirds, right? Yeah. So just more mystery to weave into the Kramer.
It's hilarious.
Mom, that's a t-shirt. I think they'll have special diets, and that's all it says on the front. And you just got more birds on the back, and nobody has any idea what this shirt is except us.
No, that's what Kramer says, or that's what Elaine says Kramer said, right? So the car gets towed.
Hilarious.
Elaine is trying to figure out, how to tell Kramer. Finally, Kramer comes down with the birds. He said he was getting all of the information. That's where he says they all have special diets.
Yeah, and if you imagine too, if that was true, and you didn't know that either, like, hey, I got you, I'll just get the birds easy. But then they put you through the ringer, and you're trying, like, I gotta go. it's just a mess, man.
Yeah.
It might not necessarily be right on.
And in the days before cell phones, right?
Yeah,
like,
you're just kind of stuck out there.
You just gotta stay.
Yep.
You
somehow,
can't call anybody. You can't do anything. You just.
So somehow 2 of the birds get out of the cage, and then they're chasing the birds down the street. And Elaine says she almost gets hit by a bus.
Oh my God!
The story kind of cuts off from there. We cut back to Elaine, and the face.
And she's like, she asked them, "How was everything here?" And they're like, "Oh, it was fine. It's been great. We've been enjoying ourselves."
Very sweet.
That's very funny.
Like.
Oh, he's great. No problem.
For once, they picked up on.
My dad can be very intimidating. No, he's fine.
Yeah, so they play it safe and they say that everything's fine. And then Mr. Bennis comes back, and he, man, just not nice, right?
So I have also that's the Kramer screws Elaine #1.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kramer's on the board.
Yeah.
Kramer is not my favorite person in this episode.
No.
Yes. No.
No.
Very unhelpful. So so Mr. Bennis comes out. He asks Elaine, "Who's the lipstick for?" Nobody.
No one, Dad.
And then he also asks her, "Are you working?" And she's like, "Yeah, I work for Pendant Publishing. I've told you that a million times."
Yeah.
And then he makes a
comment. I hate that place.
Pendant, those bastards. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but it's Pendant's first mention.
Terrible.
Right away, we get 2 quick mentions in a row. Pendant Publishing. We hear about them dozens of times coming. Okay. So, because she works there for a long time, all the way up until Mr. Pitt.
Right.
She's like 4 or 5 seasons. Like it's a while.
Okay. So. Yeah, she does.
So, so they're getting ready to go to the restaurant, and they walk up to the doors to the hotel, and it's snowing.
Elaine's very excited.
Yes, which it is nice, it's always fun for it to be snowing like that. But then Jerry has the inevitable moment of panic, right? Suede is very easily damaged by any kind of moisture, and he's like, "Oh no, what am I gonna do?" And I think is it George or Elaine? No, I think it's George.
If you stage back a few steps right before they are where exactly you're talking right now.
Yeah.
George is singing "Master of the House," stolen out the charm, ready with the handshake and an open palm. And Alton cuts him off and says, "Pipe down, chorus boy." That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then George is like,
"Great
boy," and like he's
pipe down, court.
Yeah, now we're in the exact moment of the conversation you're talking about.
Yeah, so of course Mr. Bennis is not a fan of musicals, right? And then Jerry panics about what to do with his jacket.
Yep.
George tells him, "Oh, turn it inside out. It'll be okay." Which he does. That's a smart idea. But if you remember, it's a very vivid, bright pink striped lining.
Jerry was about it. He's like, "Yep."
Yeah, he's like, "Okay,
no
this
problem.
will work."
Yep.
But Mr. Bennis has an objection. And he basically says, "I'll be seen walking down the street with you over my dead body," right? Like, you're not going to wear that.
You're not walking down the street with me and my daughter wearing that like that.
Yeah. So I'm very curious. Like, I get that Jerry was trying to keep the peace. Genuinely, I don't know what I would have done in that situation. I don't know.
I think I would have turned it inside out and said, "You guys walk ahead. We'll meet you there."
Or I'll just hop a cab.
Yeah.
I'll meet you there.
Yeah, because I wouldn't.
I'll just hop a cab and meet you there.
I wrote right here, though, I would never. That jacket was so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, right? So, like, if you're spending hundreds of dollars at least, that we think, on a jacket, Jerry just very meekly, like, takes it off and turns it right side out. And I just don't think I would do that. I think,
I would just say, "Hey,
nice." No, you're good, Mom. Go ahead.
I would just say, "We'll meet you there. I'm catching a cab. I don't want to ruin my new jacket. I just spent crap ton of money on."
Yeah. So,
back to it kind of does a little fade out, and you like it again. You don't quite know what you know. You think you know.
No,
You're pretty
you
sure
know what happens. Yeah.
You don't know. It's good.
Yeah.
So you come back to the apartment, and if you, I've seen this episode, so my eyes knew where to go right away, and I could see right back in there in the bathroom, and I was like, "Yep, there it is." I was like,
"Yeah, there's a jacket, suede jacket,
something
hanging, a pile of suede, hanging on a hanger, in the bathroom." And you can't really see it, but you can kind of spot some splotches on the suede.
Oh yeah,
it's so sad.
They did good with it, the costume department and all that design.
Yeah. Kramer enters again. What is
Number
that,
21.
21.
Kramer's entrances are legally allowed to drink.
That took me a second.
Because they're at 21.
Mom
was like, "Yep."
He's asking for mini Ritzes to feed the birds.
I did not know mini Ritzes were around in 1990. That's cool because they're pretty good.
Yeah, what is that? Is that just like
Ritzes, the little tiny,
like Ritz bits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing.
All right. Okay, gotcha.
Very good.
So that's what he is going to feed the birds.
That's cool. I was like, hey, mini Ritzes. Oh, okay, 1990. Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was that early.
Cute. And
Elaine buzzes in.
Elaine comes in and is telling
Elaine buzzes up. Yeah, she buzzes up or something.
Had a good time. And I remember hearing that. I'm like, oh, look at that, guys. You guys did it. Mm-hmm. You know? Good. Yeah. Look at you all.
Yeah. I think before Elaine gets there, Seinfeld, Kramer asks Jerry, where's your suede jacket? And Jerry, devastated.
He just points.
Yeah. And so Kramer goes to see it.
Yep.
He's like, what happened? What happened? And Jerry says, oh, I was out in the snow last night. And Kramer, again, is like my least favorite character in this episode because he says, oh, don't you know the damage that can do to suede? I'm like, no shit. You know, like, okay, thanks, Kramer. That is so helpful. You know?
And then still gets his jacket.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So mad.
He asked for this one as well. Jerry's like, okay, whatever, sure.
Yeah, sure, you can have it. And
give the other one back, Kramer.
Right. So first of all, the expression on Jerry's face when he says, yeah, sure, you can have it. I know the pain in that facial expression. This idea that you spent a lot of money on something. It doesn't have to be a piece of clothing, but just you spent a lot of money on something and you didn't even get to enjoy it, and now it's ruined. And you just have to accept that. Ugh. It's the worst. I hate it so much. I'm like a control freak and I like to fix things, and it's the worst feeling in the world to have
that can't be fixed.
That it is unfixable. Ugh.
You can't fix it.
But yes, I absolutely agree. I think Kramer, if he's taking the suede jacket, he should have offered to give the leather jacket back. And I also feel like Jerry, I think it would have been okay for Jerry to be like, well, if you're going to take the suede jacket, then I feel like it would have been okay for him to make that request.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
No.
I don't know if he thought about it and decided not to, or if he just didn't.
He definitely, you could tell he knows what's going on.
Yeah. So, okay.
I think he was just like, whatever, man. You know,
Elaine says you should have turned it inside out.
Yeah. Yeah. So then when Elaine does come in, she finds out what happened.
They're going to the movies.
Inside out, right?
Yeah.
Dad goes back home.
Yeah. And then the only other thing we hear about Elaine's dad is that he thinks that George is gay.
Yeah. He likes Jerry.
Jerry reminds him of a guy from Korea.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good line too.
Yeah.
But he thinks George is gay, but he thinks everybody's gay.
He thinks everyone is gay.
Yeah. And then cut to the very last scene of the episode, which is excellent. You see Lawrence Tierney, the actor, driving in a car. And then all of a sudden he starts humming to himself. Master of the house. He's like full on singing Master
of the house, turning on the charm, ready with the handshake and an up and palm.
Yeah, and so he gets first of all, he gets the lyrics of the first line wrong, and then he doesn't sing it right. Like he gets the rhythm wrong. which
It's
is
great.
just a perfect touch.
Love
I would bet that came without direction, right? Like I think that's probably just how he did it, and they didn't correct him because it's perfect for the role.
That's so good.
So
absolutely, it was great.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the episode.
The last stand-up, though.
Oh, right. Yes.
Is why does moisture ruin leather? Aren't cows outside? Don't they live there?
Yeah.
Don't they go to the slaughterhouse and like, hey, no, let us, or the shelter house, let us in. We are leather. I am suede. I don't have a replacement. I can't take it off. Let me in.
No, they don't get messed up.
Yeah, that's funny.
They don't.
But they're, it's funny. They are leather and suede. It's so funny. Like, yeah, it's good.
Oh, Jerry.
So,
all right. So, what do you guys guess after?
Oh yeah, we can talk about like whatever.
After the whole George thing, what do you guess as the price of the jacket?
So,
I have a guess.
Yeah, what's your guess?
$1,200.
Dang.
My guess is about $600.
Okay. So I Googled and I saw like a range.
Yeah, there was a range of about 300 to about 1,000.
Yeah. And it certainly could go higher than that if it's like a high fashion brand.
Street Bomber jacket was about, $300 to $500. So I'm guessing Jerry's was on the higher end of that because of it being in Manhattan, maybe closer to 700.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about 600-700.
Yeah, that's what I would guess as well.
Because George's initial gut is to start around there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty good,
Yeah. That makes sense. But nowadays, you can get something that looks very much like Jerry's jacket for like $100.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not as nice quality. It's not going to have that pink striped lining.
You got to get one. If you make it inside of it somehow, that'd be a good Halloween thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. So, okay. What about who wins the episode? What do we think?
I think it's Mr. Bennis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we have to say that. Otherwise, he'll come after us with a picture now.
No, Mr. Bennis.
I literally voted for Elaine and Jerry and George.
Yeah, just the three of them.
Coming together, doing the right thing.
Well, Elaine doesn't really know.
And Mr. Bennis was kind of a jerk. So I give it to the other three.
Yeah, Elaine doesn't really know what's going on.
She came in and said they were happy, getting along. It was okay. It's snowing outside.
I think
Jerry's jacket looks nice. Like
I would, if we're talking about like who's the best person in the episode, I would go with Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry actually did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're talking about who's the most entertaining.
Elaine helped Elaine. Well, Jerry helped Elaine. Elaine helped Kramer. George helped Jerry. They all did, except for Kramer.
Yeah, the gang. But so my gang pick for sure would probably be Jerry.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one. And then, but Mr. Bennis as a whole in the episode for sure.
Like most entertaining.
Iconic. A lot of people know about this episode because it's the only time he appears.
Yeah.
And it's so memorable. And like just it's so,
He
and also the master of the house, people love Les Miserables. So like all around, big, very famous episode. This soap right now is our current record as we speak. This is the longest episode we've ever done. Okay.
So do either of y'all know off the top of your head what's the next episode?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Next episode is the Chinese restaurant.
Oh, it's the classic. I'm so excited.
Yep.
I think this is one of the first episodes.
So hopefully we'll have some special guests. So special guest had to bail out on us tonight at last minute, but that's okay. There's a lot more episodes.
Totally okay.
Yeah.
So if we could get them back on the next week, it'd be cool to have
Chinese restaurant's a great one.
To have Bree, to have Matt, to have Bob, to have John.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe even the other couple of mamas mentioned that I can't remember. Whoever, but like it's a big episode. That's a really, really big one. This is we've had some classics that are like skirting the edge of like, ooh, that's classic. This is hands down definitively the first classic episode.
Yeah.
I want to shout out to Bob. We were on his podcast previous few days back.
Mm-hmm.
He said to talk about whatever you're doing right now. So I mentioned this podcast that Mama's doing.
Nice.
And yeah, so a couple of people that were there on the panel actually love Seinfeld and would love to join us. So we have a few more people
Yes.
that would possibly come in and join us. So there was, several people there besides us. So I know there's going to be a few more people that we're going to be able to get on here.
Okay. Awesome.
That's
that
great.
we didn't know we even had before.
Yeah, that is amazing.
So I guess maybe for a poll this week, what do you guys think we should ask? Maybe something like, would you have turned the jacket right side out?
That's probably the question.
Okay.
Like, what would you do?
All right, we'll have that be the question. Would you have turned your jacket
inside out or right side out?
Would you obey Mr. Bennis or?
Yeah, that's
right. Not? Would you have gone with that, or would you have said no? We'll just meet you there and save the jacket.
Save the jacket, keep the peace.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, because it's real simple. That's a good one because it's like they're both good. Mm-hmm. They're both, you gotta. That's tricky.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.